Well, officially I am chairman of the Swindon and Cricklade Railway Trust, and this is each year you are elected at the AGM. It's not a perpetual chairman, so each year you throw your hat in the ring. But it's a job that people all offer themselves for. When I was first elected, it wasn't that I stepped forward, it was that everybody else stepped back. It is difficult to get people to volunteer, seriously. You get people who are very much committed. We've got quite a number of people on our railway, certainly in the region of 20 or more, who are very committed to the railway, and they're down here most weekends.
Well, we alternate. We can either be selling the tickets here, or actually manning the crossing gate. I mean, health and safety regulations means that because the trains pass north to south across the crossing, it needs a keeper to open the gate and to show a green flag to the train before they can actually pass over the crossing.
I'm in the process of remaking a roof finisher. The canvas comes round onto there, it's tacked in the groove, then another moulding is pinned on the outside of that, so it makes a nice smooth finish. When I was at school and as an apprentice, my nickname used to be Kenny Habergood Shit. My name is Ken Habergood, but it's Kenny Habergood Shit. Okay.
At the moment we're planing the roof, planing the roof boards to get them so they're all nice and level. Then we're going to be sanding it, and then we plan to paint it probably in a week's time. We're going to give it a coat of red paint. After that, what we'll do is stretch some canvas over the top, and that'll waterproof it, to keep it waterproof.
Well, I started with left school in 1956. You won't remember that sort of that. And joined British Rail as it was then. Became a fireman. Left in 1965. I wasn't made redundant, and 2 years after I left, my depot was closed in 1967. And I joined the army then and came out in 1987. Became a long distance lorry driver and retired 2 years ago.
Well, I've been in, it's in my blood really. My dad was in it, my granddad was in it, and great granddad worked in the works as well, so been through a lot. Been down here 13 years now, only since I was a little kid.
And what drives your interest?
Well, it's just passion, isn't it really? It's a love-hate relationship.
Well, I'm Mick Clabby. I've been at this railway since 1984, and I've worked my way through a lot of the grades. I'm now a driver. I do a lot of training of guards, signal inspectors, crossing keepers, station staff, track safety mainly. Also provide the management with the guidance on any training that we need to do.
Blunsdon, this is Blunsdon Station. Blunsdon Station for the souvenir shop, for the whistle stop cafe, for teas, coffees and lots of yummy refreshments. Please take great care when leaving the train. Please take care, thank you.
My name's Nathan and I've been there for 5 years, since 2007, and I've enjoyed working at here actually, and I've learnt a lot about the line and a lot of the history of it. And while I've been here, they extended the platform a lot longer as well. That's what, and everything's been changing quite a lot actually while I've been here. Well, I look after the station and I'll make sure that the trains run on time, and also if any of the public, if they have any trouble or ask when the train is going to be late or when they're coming in, I can tell them the timetable, and if any disabled people need any help getting on, like people in wheelchairs, I help them get on and off, and it's quite nice actually.
We've got quite a number of youngsters here. They're soon weeded out to the want to play trains to being committed. From about 12 years old they start being more serious, but the law says that from 14 is where we're really interested, because from 14 years on they have to be supervised. 16 the rules change again, and then at 18, well, nothing. All of a sudden at 17 years and 11 months you have to be controlled. At 18 it doesn't matter anymore. Seems a little abrupt change, but that's how the rules are. I'm of an age where I saw the railways before the diesels arrived, and with the steam engines, the railways had a wonderful character with the steam engines. They were dirty, noisy, slow and all those sorts of things, but they had lots of character. The diesels came, and the first generation diesels were not so far different, but the way the railway is now, it's just what I would crudely call meat movers, and they're quite characterless like the rest of transport these days. But youngsters are more interested in cars now. You see, they all watch Top Gear. Top Gear for me is like watching paint dry. You see one show, and it's pretty much like the next one, which is pretty much like the next one. A very self-opinionated show-off who likes sports cars is just going on about another sports car. You see? I do happen to know that Top Gear, a friend of mine managed to get 5 tickets to go and watch one of the shows, and they were raffling the tickets at £100 each, because if you put your name down there's something like a 5 or 6 year waiting list to see a show which is just boring. But trains are boring in a different way. It's what you're used to.
World's biggest fan of Thompson Tank Engine. Yeah, I mean, in that respect, I've always been interested in steam engines and things like that. I actually didn't know this place existed until I was about 20, so I always thought it was a scrapyard before then. So I came along one day, and first day I'd been here, I decided to start helping out as well.
I'm doing this now for the social side of it. I used to, once I retired, I used to come up here just for some lunch and watch the trains go by. But then having been retired, I needed an interest.
Mainly worked in wood all my life. I was apprentice in the Swindon Railway Works in 1951, redundant in 1963 when Dr. Beeching came along. Then I went into the car industry then, working for Press Steel, then it became a Rover, British Leyland, now it's BMW in Swindon. But I've always been interested in making things, I've always been a hats person. Went back in the Railway Works in 1975 to 1986 when it shut again. Then I went to a joinery and that shut after 4 years. So I've had a lot of redundancy in my life. And I've been a volunteer out here since 1998, I think it was when I came out here, first as a volunteer. I've been volunteering ever since.
I'm more interested in the actual restoration than I am in just looking at them, you know. It's the construction and the restoration that I like, you know.
What was it you liked about it?
I like the practical work. I mean, I work in an office all week, so I sit at a desk looking at a computer all week, so it's nice to do a job where you're doing something practical, you know. That's what I enjoy about it. And I like doing the woodwork. I mean, I enjoy doing woodwork, you know. As you can see, there's a lot of woodwork, you know.
A magic moment was leaning out of my kitchen window after nearly 8 years of being in here, watching a train go past south and up past the kitchen. That was quite a magic moment. The frustrations of trying to overcome legalities and getting the stuff in order and finally getting all the money together. That was a magic moment, a real magic moment. Another magic moment was actually having the city of Truro here. City of Truro means nothing to you because you're not railway buffs. But the city of Truro, arguably, was the first man-made machine that was able to do 100 miles an hour. In 1904, this machine pulled railway coaches at a speed of about 102 miles an hour. That one half going some. Virtually no cab on it, dancing around in the dark. They were brave men. Anybody can come along and offer themselves. It usually involves an arm lock with a knee in the back. Yeah, they pay an annual subscription to be a member, which entitles them to a magazine, 4 magazines a year, and limited travel on the railway, and insurance when they work on the railway. The membership is mostly for insurance for when they work on the railway or anything they do on the railway.
Covers you and covers them.
It covers us and covers them. But it's more to cover them. We have a very comprehensive training program. Nobody comes down here and just does something. They have to be certified. We have training. We have a training officer, and every member of the railway who does something has a little book, and in the little book is all his qualifications and how often he is reassessed. So when you become a steam locomotive driver or a diesel locomotive driver, you have to be re-qualified, retested at regular intervals. We may be amateurs, but the way things are now is you have to behave professionally, and just because you're not paid doesn't mean you're not protected.
The fact that you volunteered, does that bother you at all? Or
no, it just shows I'm interested. I want to do it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And what do your family think of you coming out?
I think they're glad to get rid of me at times. I think so. Wife has an easy time when I'm gone. Yeah, but I really love it. And working on the old stuff. I couldn't work on the modern. Just couldn't. No, I like wood. I'm not a metal person, not at all. But I'm very grateful to the modern implements we've got, like a router. In these mats, you just put it, will not move. You just put it on here, and that will not move. We didn't have any of this years ago, but as I said, this would come to us ready-made, and then we would fit it. That was all done in the wood mill, another skill again. But now we've got to do everything. So right, we'll just have a little go then. So keep your fingers crossed. We'll better have switch plugged in, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this railway here is very much, it's like basically a club. You know, the society, all the people are volunteers. So, whereas some of the other bigger railways, they have a lot of paid staff, and they run more as like a business. You know, where they have marketing managers, and they run as a full-time business.
Do you ever think, well, I could be kind of there earning a bit more money for something I love?
I've considered it, but the money generally is not so good. So, you'd have to be sort of, you would not mind the fact that there was not much money. Sometimes people do it that they've had a previous career, and perhaps they're in their 40s or 50s and they've already made some money and things like that, so they can afford to live on a smaller income. It's slow because we're doing it just at weekends and that kind of thing. So obviously, if we were working on it full time, it wouldn't take as long. But because we're just working on it 1 or 2 days a week, and it's.
Do you think if you had the choice, would you rather swap your full-time job to work on
Oh
this
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would. Yeah. If the money, assuming the money was the same,
So what do you think about the fact that you're not getting paid? Would you wish to get paid, or do you think you're...
Well, obviously if I was doing it full time, then yeah, I'd have to, because I've got bills to pay.
I think, to be honest with you, we always do it as a hobby. Like every heritage railway starts up, some anyway, through volunteers and enthusiasts. A bit like the Bluebell Railway, because they weren't prepared to let that line close, and they kept it open and built a track between Sheffield Park and Horsley Keynes, and they kept that line going, and they've extended it to Kingscote, and now they're pushing to East Grinstead. It's a bit like with every railway, they want to get longer so they can bring in a lot more commercial use, and also do a lot more tourism for the public and visitors who visit the area and the country.
I wouldn't mind doing it if I was paid, but it's not a necessary part of the job.
No.
It'd be a bonus, but.
I mean, but we actually dress the part because we're the first people that the customers see. So we dress the part, we explain the whole workings to them, rather than just, here's your ticket, thank you very much, can I have the money please? It isn't as easy as that. Explain to them when the trains come and go, how often they go, the museums that are available, the station at the other end where they can get off and look at the engine sheds. So there's a lot of communication.
It'd be nice to be paid. It'd be nice to have, well, particularly in these days, petrol money, but it doesn't bother me in the slightest. Volunteer for this. My current employer pays me, so that's fine. We use it. It keeps me off these streets, as my wife says. So it can't be that bad. She understands. Yes, I want to go down the road. Thank you. But my current job until the end of July, I'm in the RAF. I'm an operations manager at RAF Lineham. I'm now on my sort of end of contract leave, and then at the moment I'm waiting for jobs in the rail industry.
If you pay people, you have more control over them. I have my own business and I have paid staff there. Loyalty, reliability. No, I've not seen it with paid staff. 5 minutes before we open our shop, the phone rings. My little Johnny's got a cold and I can't come in today. You get that just the same with paid staff. But what you do get with paid staff is when somebody does something wrong, you're able to control them a little bit more. You can't dismiss them because of all the rules and regulations. But you can reprimand them a little. And if they've been seriously out of order, you can send them straight down the road. But you can still do that with volunteers. We had a young man who was behaving improperly here. I marched him off the diggings in 5 minutes. Do not darken our doors ever again.
What did he do?
He behaved inappropriately. Safe to say that. Well, we've got a lot of political problems. At the moment we have trespass problems going south, where the housing estate has been built by the side of the line. And people think that they can walk on a railway line because it's only used at weekends.
Right, one of the incidents we've just had is the train was stopped because there were 3 trespassers. What our actions are immediately is bring this train to obviously a safe stop to check the track. As it was, the guard, because he was in the leading vehicle, saw them doing something in between the lines. On investigation, it would appear that they not only have they put a road bollard on the track, they'd also embedded a large stake into the ballast in an attempt to cause damage to the train when it goes over. This is a regular occurrence. People will trespass because they feel it is their right, because nobody's providing things for them. As it is, what they're doing is they're putting their own lives at risk.
The people are coming from this side across. They don't realise that this is a live railway line, and this is owned by the borough, leased to the railway, and that's owned by the farmer. So as soon as they come through there, they are trespassing on the railway. This is the problem we have. They keep cutting the fence. Most of the residents are pretty good. In fact, there's a group of them are trying to buy that piece. There's a piece of land about 20 foot wide. We didn't do that one yesterday. Right, yeah, there's about 20 foot strip there, you can see it. And they want to buy that and extend their gardens. So when they do that, that will be a big bonus to us, because that will obviously save us a lot of hassle in cutting the fence and getting through. But once they cross through there onto the line, they're trespassing, right? And it's a 24-hour, 7 days a week live line now. So that means that anybody that wants to come on is actually breaking the law.
Personally, I don't care if somebody walks down a railway line with their dog and they get run down. They're adults, should know better. But they're cutting the fences down so they can get through easily. And that permits children to wander onto the railway line. And that worries me considerably, that people think that they can just walk on a railway line on somebody else's property. No, they can't. They're endangering themselves and, more importantly, others. Trains have got one serious problem over cars. They can't swerve.
You've got to remember, when the train's at this speed, It's about 10 miles an hour, and it'll take 100 yards for this train to stop. Now if somebody dots out between, comes out of that hedge, like through there, comes out there, comes across the line, if that's 100 miles an hour, and he has to put the brakes on, he's got no chance of missing him, has he? He's a dead duck. You know, it's as simple as that. But they just got to, somebody one day is going to get hurt. And I don't want it to happen. You got to think of our train crews. Well, how would they feel if they hit a child or hit a dog or anything and killed it? It's not a nice thing to have on your mind. But at the moment, and the law allows us to run down here, and we'll carry on as long as we do our job correctly and properly. It's not a problem.
We have had theft. The price of scrap metal is such that people have stolen our materials for building the railway line. Constant problem. We've had our wooden sleepers stolen, and unfortunately the way the law is at the moment, that you've got to have definite proof who's doing it. We've actually had somebody come along with a bulldozer, digger, JCB, dig our track bed up and bury old car tyres in there. You know, it's bad enough them just dumping them on the track bed, but to actually dig and bury them in our track bed, the Environment Agency just don't want to know. Oh, well, you've had it dumped on you, but we're not going to fine you for that, but you've got to dispose of them environmentally. They don't seem to be interested in who actually perpetrated the crime in the first place. Oh, that's a police matter. I mean, we have a jolly good idea we know who did it, but, you know, there isn't the will to put this right.
One day we'll catch somebody, and hopefully we will be able to make somebody an example, if you understand what I mean.
What do you think you'll do to them?
Sorry?
What do you think you'll do to them?
Well, they'll be, legally, they'll be fined. They could go to prison if they got arrested.
At this location here at the main station, we do have mains power, but down at our engine shed we generate our own electricity, because my first quote for it was £18,000 to be connected to the electric. We've had a further quote which has reduced it to £13,000, and if we dig the holes ourselves it can be £8,500. But we got to get permission from a farmer to dig the trench across his field.
It's always an obstacle, isn't it?
It is always an obstacle. We have very little financial assistance from anybody. We've had some money recently from Swindon Borough Council from what's known as a 106 grant, and that's £65,000, but that's all we've had from anybody on this railway over the years. This is all self-financed, basically from cups of tea and bums on seats.
What is it that attracts you to coming down to Swindon and Cricklade Railway?
Well, being born in Swindon, around the railway works area in Rodwell, I love the history, even though my mum and dad come from Ireland. Being born in Rodwell, right next to the railway works, and as a kid growing up, you had the railway line that used to run. This line used to run past our house in the fields. Walking along there as a kid, it's brilliant. It's kept it alive, really. It's fantastic. So it's nostalgia, really, and it's going back in history. I just sit on the train and just fantastic, really, to sort of see wildlife, everything else. It's really cool. I love it.
Well, we've come as part of the Christmas present today.
I had
husband purchased a steam taster experience for himself, our two sons and our son-in-law, and we've come along again to enjoy the experience. But originally we brought our children to the steam railways as part of the nostalgia trip. It was where I think probably the last generation that remembers steam engines actually running as part of British Rail.
I've been coming here for a while, a number of years when I was little and so on. We used to come here on bicycles with my family, and I thought I'd drop in today just to see how it's getting along. That's all, just driving by. So yeah, I mean, our family's been sort of interested in trains and steam and things like that for a while. We'd like to go to other steam railways, and this is the closest one to us in Swindon.
So what do your friends think of your interests?
Well, when I was at school, everyone used to think I was mad, but just ignore them. Get on with it. They're missing out. They're the one hanging around on the streets, acting like idiots, you know. So that's how it is.
And now, do you get any sticks too? Or?
No, most of my mates now from work understand it because they've got sort of same hobbies. There's a couple of lads up here from work, so quite a few people in the network really. Done it.
And is there any girls?
Yeah, I've got a girlfriend. Yeah.
What does she think?
Oh, she loves it. She's from a railway background as well, so she don't mind.
And are you married at all, or do you have?
I'm not. No.
A girlfriend? Or?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
And what does she think of your passion for?
Yeah, she's quite happy with it. Yeah. She doesn't mind. Yeah. I mean, keeps me out of trouble.
We tried to be a family railway. We're not an enthusiast railway. You can hear all the kids outside now. And that is the secret. Some of the big railways are professional, enthusiast-style railways. When we finish constructing our first part, our railway will be about 5.5 miles long. You get some of the other railways like the Severn Valley Railway, which to my mind is one of the best steam railways in the country. And this railway is wonderful for proper experience. You get the children get on the train at Kidderminster. By the time it's got to Bewdley, the kids are on the ceiling, they're bored and screaming, and it's going to be another 2 hours before they get back. Whereas here, a round trip is about 40 minutes. And you can do a 20-minute trip. So, it's a different horse for a different course.
Yeah.
The lads have asked me to read this sign that we've got up in our kitchen. It's about railway enthusiasts, and it says, "Beware, railway enthusiast disease. Highly infectious to males of all ages." Well, I might disagree with just the males. We've got quite a few females on here who are infected as well by railway disease. The symptoms: the sufferer becomes confused and bewildered when not near a railway. Will be observed wandering around with blank expression, muttering strange words, rapid rise in temperature at the sight of a train. Behaviour then becomes erratic, much rushing about and waving of arms. Foaming at the mouth is not unusual. It is sometimes violent to non-believers. The patient spends much time and money at book and magazine shops. That's quite true. Seems not to notice the presence of normal people. What's normal, I wonder? This condition is incurable. The treatment, patients must be kept well supplied with items of railway interest. I find beer helps. Should be encouraged to go to steam tours and open days where he can meet other victims of the illness and exchange ideas with them. Friends and relations can aid recovery with free transport, free beer and meals. In case of emergency, contact your nearest Railway Preservation Society. Yeah, sort of like that. But it certainly is infectious. Once hooked, hooked for life.